All right, tell me about yourself. You have a family. You're a father. Do you believe in tough love on your children?
Well, I am a father. I've got 3 daughters, and been married almost 27 years, and I do believe in tough love. I think if you went and asked my daughters, who I've coached in different areas, they would say that I was as hard on them as I was anybody, and even in life in general. I've tried to raise my kids on tough love and knowing right from wrong, and trying to teach them to be good people. And sometimes I think the biggest thing I've always told my daughters is I won't say this right. I said, I'd rather you hate me now and love me later as love me now and hate me later. And what I meant by that is I want them to respect the person I'm trying to make them be. And then later in life as adults, I want you to come back to Dad and say, Dad, thank you for this. And that's kind of both my adult daughters have both come back and said that to me. And so I do believe in tough love.
That's good. All right, tell me about your past successes as a coach. You've been at a few schools. Do you believe your coaching style works?
My coaching style works. I know it works because I got a track record. I know it works. Had a great career at Hazard. Loved being at Hazard. Had a great opportunity to leave Hazard and go to Clay County, and we had some success there. Great opportunity to go to Sheldon Clark, and actually in the second year there, we had great success there. Come up short in the regional tournament. We had most wins in regular season history and district championship, and at Perry, and we had a good team, and I think my style works. Do I think it works everywhere? Not now. I think there's a place for every type of style, and I don't know if my style was the right fit for Floyd Central. I think it was something that in the past few years they hadn't had that type of style. They had it in the past. I know they had it in the past. I know Johnny Martin. I coached with Johnny at Allen Central. I coached against Henry Webb at South Floyd. I know in the past that they had that type of intensity, but that's been a long time ago, and they hadn't had that, and I think it was maybe just something different that they may not have been ready for, and maybe I wasn't ready for.
Okay, let's talk about Justin Johnson. He's a highly successful former player of yours. Very boldly came to your defense in light of the accusations. Do you feel like that helped anyone on the outside kind of see the bigger picture?
Justin, I love Justin, and he's like a son. And I know during this ordeal, I was expecting a lot of the local and regional things to come, maybe even the things to come from Eastern Kentucky. But I wasn't expecting this to go like statewide. I wasn't expecting certain media outlets to take this and make it a huge issue. And I didn't have a voice for that. I had no way to counter that. And I knew Justin was popular, but I didn't know how popular he was. And when he came out and made the statement that he made, I couldn't believe how that took off on social media. And it was almost instantaneously. The negative from the other side stopped because they saw it from a player's view, and they got to see the humanistic side of it rather than just the media side of it. And I can't thank him enough. I didn't ask him to do it. He sent me a text and said, Coach, I did something. I hope it doesn't get you in any more trouble. And I didn't even know what it was until I saw it. And I'm grateful to Justin. He's a great kid, and he's made Eastern Kentucky proud. And I think he's the type of kid that shows what tough love can do for a coach. We see so many great athletes from Eastern Kentucky that go away and they don't make it because they can't handle it. And if you go back and look at the success of our past greats that's went out of here and done something, JR and Justin and a few others, look at their coaches they played for. They played for hard-nosed coaches, and myself included. And those kids were able to stick it out because I know Justin made this point one time. He said, Coach, when I got to college, it's just like routine to me. And he said a lot of guys that he played with came in there and they had to leave because they weren't used to that. And so I think we do our kids a disservice sometimes when we don't push her to the limit. We don't get them ready for the next level or get them ready for life in general. Sometimes we fail them by not giving them the tough love that they may need.
I agree. Now, tell me about your relationship with the kids you coach, even historically or at Floyd Central, the things you do, kind of the extra mile things, and how you feel about your kids.
Oh, I've always said when I coach, one of the first things I said was, and I've got actually a good point, is I raise a lot of money. I'm a good fundraiser. And the reason I'm a good fundraiser is because I always wanted my kids to have the best of things. I always, growing up sometimes, even as a player, when I see other teams have a lot of stuff, and maybe teams I played on didn't, I always felt inferior. And I always set a goal that when I got to be a head coach, I was going to make sure my kids had the best stuff. They were never going to feel inferior. and they weren't ever going to be able to go places and do things and be a part of things because of finances. And that was one of my big deals, is I wanted my kids to feel like they were just as good as anybody else. I always wanted to make sure that they had a good Thanksgiving, or they had a good Christmas. I think that's the biggest thing, is when you hear a kid that maybe he's not going to have a good Christmas as his teammates, you want to make sure he has a good Christmas, and things of that nature. When you go to the beach as a team, you don't want a kid not going because they can't afford it. And if they do go, you don't want them not be able to get the tattoos and the henna tattoos and the t-shirts and things that teenagers do. You want them to be able to do that. And I've been blessed personally. I've been blessed with friends, with acquaintances, with colleagues that I've made contact with to be able to make sure these kids have the things they stand in need of. And I think as a result of that, I've got some great relationships with my past players. I honestly can't think of any kid that's went through a program that I don't have a good relationship with. And I think during this last ordeal, as part of the investigation and part of getting to be able to talk with each kid during this situation, the one thing that did my heart good was when they all said, Coach, we know you care about us. And I said, you know what, God, that's all that really matters. As long as you know I care about you and I would do anything for you, that all this other stuff's irrelevant. And I told them all, I said, even now, I'd still be there for you. And I think that they know that, even though the situation may not allow us to be close for quite a time, till maybe they get to be adults and I get a little older and things settle down. But I think that for the most part, I love my kids, and I think my kids know that. And I think that I even tell them the same thing I told my kid. Hey guys, I'm just after your respect right now. We're not here to be buddies. I'm here to do what I need to do to make you a better man and to get you ready for post-high school life. And the majority of the time they've come back and they've shared that with me, and that's just like teaching, just like coaching. That's what you live for, and so that's the biggest part of coaching that I really enjoy.
I want to know, has this hurt you on a personal level?
I like to say I'm thick-skinned and I can handle about everything, and I try to, but I think what's got me from the personal level is the attacks that my family has taken, specifically my baby daughter. She's still in high school, and she loves her daddy, and she takes up for her daddy. It doesn't matter if daddy messes up or not, she's taking up for her daddy. And I think she had a real hard time with a lot of stuff she took on social media, defending her dad, and that broke my heart personally. See my wife, have to deal with things at work, and to see my assistant coaches, they're like totally innocent in all this, and they took a beating, and and my players, I think when I see other people hurt, it makes me hurt personally. I like to think I can handle it, but I'd be lying if I said that it didn't hurt personally and I didn't take it to heart. And it's not really. This is the first time I think I can remember actually feeling like I'm beat down. I feel like I've had all I can stand, and it's time to go walk away. And I never thought I'd come to that, but it has.
Okay, now tell us exactly what happened the day this all transpired. I believe it happened on a Saturday, right? You had something earlier in the week with Ashland, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So you want to back up and tell us like the whole story? Or?
Well, I wish I could give you a starting point, or I wish I could give you something that happened.
So there was no big explosion.
I don't think there was any Big Bang Theory. I think it was just a culmination of things. I think that I was. I'm not going to lie. I'm a demanding, intense coach, and I think that a lot of people see me on the sidelines during the game, and they see that. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't as intense or more intense during practice, because to me, we're there to get things done, and I try to get rid of all the distractions and get kids to focus. And we're really, we do a lot of detail, and I think that's been a show of my teams through the years. We've been really good about execution. We've been very disciplined. We've been very good at those things, and that's because we drill. And I think that just for whatever reason, it just like oil and water, it just didn't mix it. Something was wrong, and I'll take my part of blame for that, because maybe as a coach I should have recognized that sooner. But at the same time, kids were still working hard, and kids were still doing what they need to do. And the thing that gets me is just days before this happened, we're sitting in my office, we're eating pizza, and we're laughing and we're giggling, and it's like this just came out of nowhere, and it really caught me off guard. I knew we were 1-2, and I knew people were feeling down about our start, but I still felt like we had a regional championship team, and so it really caught me off guard. And but as far as the build-up, I was accused of doing some things in practice, kicking a ball and almost hitting a kid, and I even questioned myself. I asked my assistants, did I do that? And I can't remember it, and they can't remember it. I was accused of beating my head on the floor, and I'm not going to deny that I did. I taught a defensive principal 4 straight trips, and we broke down 4, and after the 4th time, I got tired of yelling, so I just leaned down, and I was trying to be symbolic that I feel like I'm just beating my head against something. I'm just not getting through. I didn't think that was a big deal because after practice, we all laughed about it. The kids were making, it was like coach broke the tension or something. I don't know, and then, but I'll never back away from the fact that I used some curse words. I was open about that in my interview. I've used them my whole career. They're general curse words, but I never called a kid a defaming name. I never came out with vulgarity. I've never used, and those are just not my words. Even my daughter said, Dad, those are just not your words. And colleagues that I've worked with, former coaches, they said, Coach, we've never heard you use those words. And so I deny those things. Those things didn't happen. And I think that during the investigation, I think that a lot of those things were retracted by the players. I think they were found to be uncorroborated. They were found there's nothing to collaborate what they were saying. And I think the superintendent and Mr. Marson, our county AD, Ms. Thornsberry, our principal, Mr. Isaac, our AD, at the school, I think they all saw this, and they knew my character, and they did a great job of investigating this. They were able to ask players that didn't quit, parents that didn't quit, assistant coaches, volunteers, things of this. I mean, they were very thorough, and from what I gather, I know with me anyhow, the questions were pretty direct, and they were pretty abrasive, and they were searching for the truth. And I'm appreciative to them because I think they did a good job. And I'll be honest with you, if I did those things, I should have been fired. That's the thing I got, is the fact that if I did those things, I should have been fired. And but I didn't do them. And the investigation showed that. Did I say some curse words? Yeah. Did I have an altercation with a fan in Ashland? Yes, I did. I didn't deny that. And that's why I got 3 game suspension. But
and you feel like that was fair?
Oh, I did. I told the superintendent. I said, I think that's more than fair. We have a 0 tolerance for cursing. I broke that, and I accept that. And I actually thought it would blow over. I really did. But like I said, it's just a bad mix, and my style. I guess that's the biggest thing for me is I even told all the kids when I got to meet with all the kids and their parents. I think of the 7, 5 of them would actually sit down and talk with us. And really good conversation. But I actually told him, I said, if you're looking for me to change as a coach, I can't. I'm still going to be the same direct discipline coach. I can't keep from doing it. That's my job. That's how I do it. And I said, but I'm going to work at trying to do better with some of the things that's bothering you. But it just didn't work out. And but I don't think there was one big thing. I just think it was just a bad mix. And I'll take my part of the responsibility, but. For doing certain things, but I never thought I crossed the line, and I'll never be able to.
Well, there's something I want to point out that you said. You were willing to kind of grow as a coach and maybe change things to accommodate these kids, and it still seemed like there was controversy even after you were willing to not change necessarily your style, but kind of reel a few things in. So do you think that was just kind of falling on deaf ears, that you were willing to change? What happened after your suspension?
Well, I think that a big part of what went on was, just to be totally honest, is I think there was a lot of playing time issues.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes right down to it, I don't care where you coach, whatever, most things come down to playing time. And I think that some of this, majority of it was over playing time. And they can say what they want to, but of the 7 kids, only about 3 were getting to play. And some of the ones making the biggest noise was the ones that didn't get to play as much. But some of the others, 2 of them, 2 of the players actually admitted when we talked that I hadn't done anything to them. They were there strictly because it was their buddies involved, and I kind of respected that. They actually stood up to their buddies and said, "We're going to stick with our buddies. We didn't see you do anything wrong. But we're going to be there for you." And then the other kid is just. maybe I just pushed him too hard. I had high expectations for him. I thought he could play at the next level. I thought he wanted to play at the next level, and I still think he can play at the next level. But I know what it takes to get there. I know I've helped players get there before, and I know the type of player, the type of character they've got to have. And I was trying to push him to that limit, and maybe I should have read that better, but I pushed too hard. And instead of getting a positive back, I got a negative back. And it just I feel bad that the whole thing happened. We did try to work it out. I mean, I think we set like 3 deadlines. I think we set 3 different deadlines to come back because we wanted those kids back, and we thought we could work it out. And I've got great assistant coaches that were reaching out and talking to these kids, and we tried every way in the world to make this work, and it wasn't going to work. And I was okay with it. I was ready to move on, but I saw some things happening with my family. I saw the pressure that was bringing to our home. I saw my kids that were sticking with it. They gave everything they had, and then that last game at the regional, 2A regional, I just looked out at my team, and I saw a team that was defeated before we started. And I thought to myself, you know what? This is not fair to these kids. And as I was walking the sideline, I couldn't coach the way I wanted to coach. And I felt like I had to calculate in my mind everything that I needed to do the right way. And I felt like that was cheating the kids. And I just, when I went home that night, it was just, you know what, if I step aside, all that's going to follow me and leave my family alone and leave the kids alone. Maybe there's going to be some healing. And met with Superintendent Adkins and Ms. Thornsberry, and I talked. We had a huge video conference with our family out of Texas and in my home, and we just talked and we prayed, and we felt like that maybe it was best for everybody involved to step aside now and let the healing process begin. And I know I'm at peace with the decision. I met with my parents and my players, and I think they totally understood. And I felt terrible walking out on them. I felt like I was walking out on them, but at the same time, I felt like in the long run, it'd be better because at least the negativity would get away from the program and allow them to get away from it. Right? Because as long as I was there, that cloud was over them too. And so I just felt like it was the right time. And as we sit here today, 4 days later, I feel good about the decision for people involved. I think people's lives are going to be better because of this.
Well, you can't really unring a bell, but would you have done anything different with this group of kids? If you know now what if you knew then what you know now, would you have done anything differently at the beginning?
I think that maybe I would have, hopefully I hope that I would have recognized when the negativity started. Yeah. I would have recognized maybe the body language a little quicker, maybe the talk in the locker room a little quicker. Maybe I got some great advice from Coach Napier at Perry Central, Randy Napier. I told him, I said I was pushing my best player as hard as I could push him, and it just backfired on me. And he said, well, maybe you was pushing the wrong player. And I thought it made a lot of sense because, when we played in the 2A regional, I had a player come up to me and say, Coach, I need you to coach me like you coach. Mm-hmm. And I felt like, well, this is a kid I should have been pushing. And maybe the other kids would have saw that and it would have went a different way, but maybe I didn't recognize that. But I just think that with the program the way it is, the 2 schools that came in, the background that each had with the type of coaching styles, that maybe this wasn't the right fit. Now, last year, whether kids like you or don't like you, they responded, and they played hard, and they played together, and they played tough, and they were physical, and we had a good year last year, and it was a fun year, and we played a tough schedule, and I thought that maybe we just roll into it this year and probably just took some things for granted that we should have done differently, but it just it happened, and if I ever get back into coaching again, hopefully I'll learn from it and be able to recognize those things and hopefully be able to find a way to reach that energy and that passion that I have, but maybe be able to vocalize it a little differently. I would hope that I can do that. I'm working on it. But I admit I made mistakes, but I won't admit to everything I was accused of, and I still vehemently deny those things. And I think that everybody involved, including myself, had a share in this. And but I think the time for accusing and doing all this stuff is over and it's done with. And I think that now it's just let's move on, let's heal, and let's do what's best for those kids that are out there now.
And you touched on maybe coaching again in the future. I was going to ask you if you thought you were done, or if you thought maybe you'd give it a try a few years down the road.
I don't know. Right now, I really can't tell you. Right now, I just want to walk away. I just want to get some peace. I want to spend time with my family. I want to go watch some basketball. I went out Saturday, and our girls won Saturday, and I wanted to be there, but I didn't know if it was. I didn't want to take away from what they were doing. And so I went and watched a good high school boys basketball game. And I'm gonna go watch some. I want to watch some teams compete and I want to watch coaches coach, and I want to see that because I love that. And I think basketball, I think sports in general is great for our area, our kids, our schools, our communities. I think they play a vital role in who we are here in Eastern Kentucky. And that when I walk into a gym, I get that itch. I don't know if I'm done or not. I would hope that if the opportunity came, it was the right situation, if someone wanted to pick an old fiery coach that did things old school, that they might give me a shot. But at the same time, I got out of it a few years ago for about 3 year stint there. And the first year I was mad, and the second year I was at peace, and the third year the fever came back a little bit. And so I've got 2 years till I can retire from teaching. And maybe it would be different if I didn't have to teach every day, just go in and coach, if I could find a dream job like that.
That's a life right there.
That's a life, just getting to coach. But at the same time, I've got, like I said, I'll retire in 2 years. My oldest grandchild will be 5 years old, and maybe I need to go down and coach T-ball or something. Maybe coach junior pro little league, and maybe just start teaching fundamentals. I've learned a lot from being around Todd Howard, former player of mine, and Carla Booth, former teammate of my daughter's, and I watched them teach basketball the right way, and I thought to myself, you know what, maybe an old grandpa can go down and teach kids to play the right way, and not be so worried about wins and losses, but just be about making the kids better and teach them how to have fun while they're doing it right. So maybe that's my next journey in life.
Maybe that'd be good. Do you have any final thoughts, advice for parents of athletes, anything that you want to say?
I don't... Trying to get my words right in my head. I'm not real good about planning things out. I speak from the heart, and sometimes that gets me in trouble. But I think that one part that we're really struggling in is this idea that every kid gets to play and every kid gets a trophy, and the accountability is not there, that you're going to get your certain amount of playing time no matter what you do on the floor. And I think that's okay at a young age, but at some point, coaches get paid to win, and they get paid to build a program and to run it the right way. And to do that, you have to have some accountability. You have to have some discipline. So you have to have some tough love. We talked about that. And I think that I don't think I've ever met a coach that did things for the wrong reasons. They were trying to do it what they thought was best for that time. And I think that you have to trust the coach, that they've got the best interest of your kid at heart, and they're trying to do what's right. And most of the coaches I've ever met, they love their kids. And the reason we love our kids is because we ask our kids to come in every day and do something hard every day. And they sacrifice their time from their friends and from their social media and from their schoolwork. We ask them to come in there and give us 100%, 2-3 hours a day, and we ask them to do hard things. And because of that, we love those kids. And it may be in our own way. It may be not the type to pat them on the backside when they do wrong and say, it's okay, get it next time. It may be a little harsher than that, but it's not because we don't like them or we got something against them. It's just we want them to be better than who they are. And I think that we've got to somehow get back to the idea that the team and the school and the program is what matters. The idea of having 8 kids in a rotation that plays, but 7 kids that want to win just as bad as those 8 that don't get to play. I think we've got away from that, where the bottom of the bench really wants to win, even if it means they have to sit, and even if it means their job is in practice. Everybody can't play all the time and can't play equal minutes. And I think as parents, we sometimes can talk to our kids about about that. We need to let them know that sometimes it's just as important to be a part of that team and that program. I think that's where we've got away from. And another thing I think we've got away from is getting kids, and I'll say that, getting the kids away from video games and getting kids in bed, proper rest and eating right, and making sure kids get out and do some physical activity, and making sure kids do some chores and do some work and know what it's like to have to sacrifice and work for what you get, or get what you work for. And so, anyways, I just think that we're in a different type of situation than what I was raised.
And, me too, even. And we're
and you too.
generation.
And I just think that we need to get back to where coaches are allowed to coach hard, and that doesn't mean crossing the line in any way. But that means we got to let coaches coach hard, and we got to trust coaches, and we got to trust administrators that they're looking out for our kids through their coaches. And I've worked in a lot of different systems. I've never seen administrators let coaches abuse their kids. I've never seen coaches abuse their kids. And I think that we just got to trust who's in place, and remember that it's just a game. It's a game, and when the final horn goes off, game's over. When the final whistle at practice happens and you walk off the court, practice is over. And let's move on. And it's not life or death, and it's not the end of the world. And that the real things that are important are not happening between the lines. And so I just think sometimes we just gotta take it back and take a realistic view of things. And I love coaching, and I love teaching, and I love working with our youth. And I hate that this happened. This breaks my heart that this happened. I had a vision for Floyd Central, and I had a goal for Floyd Central, and it just didn't work out. And I wish them the best. I hope it works out for these kids. They've got a great school up there. They've got a great principal and AD, and I hope it works out for them. And I hope it works out for me and my family, and for everybody involved as well. I hope we just heal and move on.